Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. My name's Soleil and I garden in a zone 5B in mid-Michigan, and it is going to be a scorcher today. It is going to be in the mid-90s and the humidity is off the charts as well. So we're going to be doing some small projects around the garden, trying to find a little bit of shade where we can, and just trying to get a few little things done here and there that I haven't gotten done so far. You know, every once in a while you pick up a plant, you pick up a pot, and so I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a minute, but we're definitely going to be taking our time trying to get these things done, trying to stay well hydrated, and probably taking breaks in between. So let's take a peek at some of the projects that I've got in store for us today. All right, well, I have some potting mix here, and along with that, I have some Coleus that we got the other day. And I found some pots at Home Depot. They were originally $50. They were marked down to just $13 a piece. So I picked these up because they are frost resistant. So that usually means that they can actually stay out in my winters, which is a really important thing for me because it makes a super big difference in terms of, you know, how much you have to put away in the fall in our temperate climates. When we end up having to go inside for the winter, our pots have to go inside for the winter too, or be cleaned out. So I'm really excited about having these, and I think I'm going to fill these up with Coleus and one of the sweet potato vines as well. And then back here I have a hosta that's looking rather bedraggled. It did not enjoy its time in this pot, so we're going to replace it with a little red mum, which is super cute. And also I have another pot over here. I have one more sweet potato vine, and if you notice, all of the ends are kind of nipped off. Well, what happened with this is we put these out, and as soon as I put them out on the back deck, waiting to be potted up, the groundhog came along and ate all of the leaves off. So they are coming back, which I'm happy about, so I will use them anyways. And they do provide a nice pop of color, and I think they're going to fill out. Then we have another red mum there, and a Coleus as well. So we're gonna get that little pot going together, and I think it will go kind of nicely if I keep it out here with some of the Coleus that we have on the front porch. Then if we head to the other side over here, I've just kind of put things wherever they kind of can go, and so it's going to feel really good to get some of these things a little bit more organized and give them some places. I have this pot right over here that I have been using to grow on this mum, and this was one that I just pulled out of the garden. And then I have these two Coleus that I want to plant on either side of it, and I think that's going to be really pretty over here in this window box. I used to plant these completely full, these window boxes, but because they didn't get really good drainage and the soil would kind of wear out over time, they were quite a pain to maintain. So I've just kind of used other pots within them, and that's worked pretty well for me over the last few years. So we'll try to get that done. And then let's head out to the deck. So out here, a couple things that I would like to get done is I would like to empty out these two pots because they have seen better days. The snapdragons have definitely gone over. They look really unhealthy, and the soil is pretty spent. So I just want to pull the rocks out of them and empty out the pots and get them ready for a fall refresh. And I'm trying to decide whether or not I'm going to keep this Rudbeckia or if it's just not worth saving. This is one of the ones I got on clearance. After bringing it back here, immediately the groundhog ate off a bunch of the flowers, and in addition to that, then it got powdery mildew. It has been a really tough summer this year because of the dryness and then the wetness and then the dryness and then the wetness and the hot and cold. So these Rudbeckias have definitely been prone to powdery mildew in our area. So that might actually get thrown in the compost pile. I haven't decided yet. I might just give it a hard cut back. Well, I don't know about you, but fall containers are some of my favorite containers to make. I just love the colors. This Coleus is by Dooman Orange, and it's called Stained Glass Works Copper. I think it really is a nice contrast to the color of the pot here. I may need to get some more potting soil also in the middle of this video. We'll see how that turns out as well. I like the size of these pots. I find that oftentimes pots that you buy can end up being too small to really fit like a plant combination or to even fit like a gallon pot. And I think it's really important to at least have a good enough size to be able to fit the gallon size plants. It gives you a lot more options. You can fit a couple of different quart size annuals into this size of pot as well. I'm not sure exactly what size this is, so I can't really tell you. Let me look on the tag and see if it says. Okay, this is an 11.5-inch hazy pot. It is called Running Gray, and it is by Paddock Home and Garden. And so yeah, 11.5 inches. I think if you were looking for something just to fit you know, a gallon size annual or perennial, this would be a good size, somewhere between 11 and 15. Yeah, we are definitely going to have to take a break for me to be able to run to the store to get additional potting mix because I am going to run out here. One other thing I really need to get done today, I think maybe I'll remember to do it when I go up to the store, is to take some of my plastic pots back to recycle there. Most stores like Lowe's or Home Depot should have a place for you to take your pots back, and it's really helpful. At the end of the season, you may have lots of pots from your annuals and your perennials that you've bought over the season, so definitely consider doing that. A lot of the growers are required to take them back. I like how this sweet potato vine is really in like the same color family as this Coleus. Sometimes you buy things because they contrast, and sometimes you put things together because they complement each other. And I think this is a situation where they are just very complementary. And I may actually give this Coleus a good cut back. So that it can get bushier. Anytime you pinch back a Coleus, it will send out new side shoots. And that can really help to fill out the plant quickly in the pot. I think we might actually have just enough soil to do this one as well, so we're going to give it a go. It's not a very big pot. And it already has some soil in it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the soil that's in the pot, I'm going to dump it into the soil bag. And then I'm going to mix it in with the fresh soil, just taking out some of the roots and things. All right. These mums are so cute, you guys, when they sell them in this size. I have a lot of orange mums in my garden. A lot of you are asking questions about, you know, how do I perennialize them? Really just making sure you plant them early enough. You don't want to plant them at the end of the season. A lot of people plant mums into containers and then they hope that they can plant them in the ground after that and that they will perennialize, but they really don't, because you're too close to your frost date. They haven't had enough time for their roots to grow on, so it doesn't end up working out. And so my advice on that is to plant them now. Another thing that you can do is some garden centers will have mums early on in the spring, and you'll want to definitely ask your garden center to make sure that you're buying a perennial mum, because some that they sell, like that might just say garden mum on them, they might not actually be a perennial. They might not be hardy. They may only be, you know, designed to be an annual mum and grown just in the fall for containers. So make sure you get the right kind and make sure you plant it early enough for the roots to settle in. Okay, let's head over to the other planter. I think that we can get that one done as well right now without having additional soil. I might just need more soil for this last container because it's so big. All right, let's see if we can get these planted in this container. And then we're definitely going to need to water everything in. This Coleus looks like it is incredibly wilty. Not incredibly wilty, but wilty enough, and I can tell that the soil is dry. So I'm just going to dig out some of the soil that's in here already. My first frost date is right around October 15th. Sometimes it can be later than that. Sometimes it can be earlier. And I think what I'm going to do is after I get these both in here is I'm going to come through with some of that fresh soil and top it off. So these plants will not be in here for very long, given that my first frost date is in October. That is the downside to fall plantings, I feel like, is that you just don't get a ton of time to enjoy them, but they are beautiful. Okay, now I'm going to go grab some of that fresh soil so we can get it in here. Luckily, we don't need a lot to fill in the gaps around these. Indeed, I think this will actually just take us right to the bottom of our soil bag. Now these I'm definitely going to pinch back in the hopes that I can get them to flush out a little bit further. I'm just very gently and slowly watering because they're so dry. If I go too fast, it might just run off the top. And I might as well get some of my other pots while I'm over here as well. And then just rinse off the edge to clean it off. Now terracotta pots, they do dry out a little bit quicker than your ceramic pots. So I do end up having to water this one quite often. Luckily it is in the shade, so that does help. Okay, now I'll just take my gloves off, and actually I'm looking at the stems on these and they are rather thick. So I'm going to grab some scissors so I can cut them well. Try to get you in real close here. And I'm actually going to cut back quite a few stems. I'm going to cut back here. And it'll look a little bit unsightly for, probably a few days. And then all of a sudden it will be so much bushier. Because every place that I cut will send out 2 shoots instead of that one. And if you wanted to, you can still take these cuttings and you can root them by stripping the leaves off like this. And then you can either put them into soil and root them, perlite, or even just water. They will begin to grow roots. Super easy way to make more plants. Now we'll come over and do a similar trim back on this side. I just really want to make sure we're getting plenty of bushiness and not just a single stem here. So I think I'm going to take it back even further to be a little more even with the other side. There we go. And if I want to encourage this to really flesh out fast, I can come through with some liquid fertilizer, maybe some Miracle Grow or some type of liquid feed, and that will really help to spur these on, and I will probably do that later on today. Let's water in our other containers as well. It's like instant fall vibe when you plant Coleus. You just can't go wrong. And I'm not trying to rush summer out. I love summer. I also love fall. In fact, it's one of my favorite seasons, so I really hope that it is a nice long fall. Well, I think these look really good and super cute. They aren't necessarily going to stay here, but we got them done today, so that's fantastic. And I am really happy with that. I'm going to take a break and then we'll come back and follow up with some of our other projects, hopefully on the deck. All right, well, I've decided to add them right along the front walkway here. So they have joined some of my other container pots. And I think that adds a nice little fall vibe to it. We have quite a variety of different planters here. And I actually really enjoy the look of lots of planters here. I might add some things that have height or things like that, but I definitely have enjoyed and had fun with this planter row. All right, we're going to see how this works, just brushing this on. This is a stain. It's not actually a paint, but it is a full coverage stain. And I don't want to have to redo the entire deck right now, so we're going to get at least one coat of this on. And that will really help with just this kind of zebra striping effect that we have going on right now. We actually have a paint sprayer, which is what, my husband will use when he comes through and does the whole thing again. But we had to replace just a few boards. And they weren't replaced this year, you guys. This is not like a project that was just done, but I'm finally getting around to painting it because I couldn't wait for the whole thing to be redone again. Who knows when that will happen, I think either way, this is going to look a whole lot better than it currently does. I was hoping this whole project would be in the shade, but it's not. That's all right. At least we have some umbrellas for parts of it. I thought I might need the edging tool for this, but I have an edging brush and it's working really well. There's stuff that is kind of caught between the cracks of this deck right now. I did, blow this whole area off so that, we didn't have stuff all over it, but it's still here. So I guess my point is, this is not going to be perfect, but it sure is going to be better than it looks right now before it's painted. It's so hot and humid out today, you guys. I will not be surprised if the camera just shuts off because of the heat during this project. I think we're making great progress, and I have kind of been coming through and doing a little bit of touch-up here and there as I can. Because I think some of these spots will look better just touched up. Because it's kind of come out of the cracks a little bit. I don't know why. But as long as I have the giant bucket of paint out, I might as well take advantage. It already looks so much better, you guys. And this might not be the paint color of choice for you. Might not even be my paint color of choice, but it kind of has been always the color that we've had. And I definitely don't want to go with something really dark like black or dark gray, because this deck absorbs so much sunshine, you guys. And therefore, it also collects so much heat. If I go any darker with the color, I mean, it would just be like a sauna out here, and I don't want that. Trying to blend in my touch-ups a little bit. I'm not a professional painter, but I think doing the touch-ups is better than not doing them. And hopefully my hubby will redo the whole deck next year. The thing about having light colors on a deck, though, is problematic, because then it tends to show all of the dirt, you know? So I've strayed away from those as well. And even though I call this paint, this is actually a solid color stain from Sherwin-Williams. It's called Cappuccino. It does go on pretty solid. There are some that are like semi-transparent and that kind of thing. But I don't know, if you have tried out any lighter colored paints on your deck, I would love to hear about it and what your experience has been with it in terms of keeping it look nice. I wish we had one of those decks made out of the Trex lumber that you didn't have to paint or worry about. But we don't, so you got to work with what you got. I'm just really happy to have such a nice big deck where we can have people over, sit outside, enjoy the garden views. Ooh, finally getting back into a shadier spot over here. All right, I'm going to turn off the camera one more time because it's so hot, and then I will turn it back on and show you what it looks like when we're done. Well, everyone, I am a hot and sweaty mess, so I am not going to show myself, but I am going to show this lovely paint job that I think turned out pretty great. Definitely you can tell where the new paint is versus where some of the old paint is. I think some of that will, kind of fade over time as the new paint gets a little bit drier and gets a little bit of dirt on it. But it definitely looks so much better than it did, doesn't it? Whew, I am not going to get to those pots at the end of the deck today to empty them. That's just going to have to wait another day. Well, thank you so much for joining me for these projects around the garden today, and I hope you are doing well, and we'll see you next time.